If you've been geeking out about Dark Souls 3 as much as I have, you've probably been wondering what the next DLCs are going to be. So far we have confirmation that the Season Pass is going to include 2 DLC packs. The leak was keen to mention that this was only with the Season Pass, so that means it's possible there might be more afterward, but with this being the supposed last entry in the Dark Souls franchise, I doubt there will be any more than the 2. That being said, I think I've found a couple hints in the game itself that'll show what these 2 DLCs might be. After you kill Vort, you come to this area where you get a perfect view of pretty much every area in the game. You can see Farron in the Crucifixion Woods down there, the Undead Settlement right above it, Irithyll to the left of that obscured by clouds, Archdragon Peak way up there in the mountains, and the Cathedral of the Deep tucked away to the right of everything else. If you look between that and Archdragon Peak, you'll see slightly in the distance that there's a city there. You can get a better look at this city from up near the Dead Dragon and High Wall of Lothric. Go up the stairs leading to where you find the binoculars, and there's a little peephole right here. You can get a better view of the city from up here with less desaturation than over at Vort. It appears to be buildings made out of white stone with blue rooftops set in a forested area. From Software would never put something like this in on accident. I think without a doubt that is one of the places we're going to go to in the DLCs. As far as what this place is though, there's not a lot of clues for that. It is possible though they could follow the same pattern they have so far in the main story, where every location in Dark Souls 3 is just a zone from Dark Souls 1 in the future. Following this pattern, the most likely candidate for this mysterious city is Drangleic. There were some buildings with white stone and blue rooftops in Drangleic, and like Drangleic, Dark Souls 3 also takes place near the ocean. Also with how similar the geography and architecture is in Archdragon Peak to the Dragonary from Dark Souls 2, it's likely those two are the same place, which would put Archdragon Peak right next to Drangleic geographically. Which, let's just say it makes sense. If it is Drangleic, however, there would be some inconsistencies that would need to be explained. For one, Hade's Tower of Flame, where there were all the white buildings with blue rooftops, seems to have been almost completely destroyed in Dark Souls 2. It's odd that that type of architecture would make such a dramatic comeback in Drangleic. Second, where the hell is the rest of the city? I mean, I know Drangleic got pretty fucked, but you'd think we'd at least see ruins from over here. Especially directly on the coast where there are some pretty large structures. As a counterpoint though, it's possible all this is hidden behind the mountains. Drangleic Castle, for example, was pretty hidden in the mountains even in Dark Souls 2. The second DLC I think is likely to be Carthus. Unlike that town in the distance, there's no way to actually see Carthus from the playable map though. But there are a few item descriptions in the catacombs that refer to it as more than just catacombs underneath Farron Keep. Particularly the rings, which call it a sand kingdom. They also mention how Wolnir was a conqueror of many kingdoms. Additionally, the yellow bug pellet also found in the catacombs refers to the creature in the smoldering lake as the Carthus sandworm. Seeing as there's not a whole lot of sand in this iteration of Lordran, I think it's safe to say that this sandworm followed the Carthus soldiers here, and I also think that means that Carthus might be relatively close by even if we can't see it. It might just be obscured by mountains like Drangleic is. There's not a lot to go on when deciding what kind of a society Carthus might have been, but I would expect to see a lot of Middle Eastern style architecture. I'm uncertain because it seems like the catacombs weren't really built by the warriors of Carthus. It seems more likely that they were an invading force that occupied the catacombs. So I'm essentially just drawing conclusions based on their fighting styles and weapon choices. Seeing as they were a society of conquerors, however, I think it's likely there's going to be a lot of treasure to be found in Carthus. To wrap up my thoughts on the coming DLC, I'd like to point out that there is an item that's been in the previous 2 games that hasn't made it into Dark Souls 3. It's very likely we're probably going to see it return in one of the DLCs.